Every year, when we have our annual ceremony of remembering the Holocaust, there's a theme suggested as the focal point for our remembrance. This year, the Holocaust Memorial Day Trust has suggested a theme: be a light in the darkness. The thought behind that theme, the idea that a single act of goodness or of goodwill can go far to push back the evils of racial and religious discrimination, is a fairly obvious one. It encourages everyone to reflect on the depths to which humanity can sink, but also on the ways individuals and communities resisted that darkness to be the light before, during, and after genocide. And over hundreds of years, there have been many instances of individuals standing out for truth and justice, fighting oppression and persecution, bearing witness to truth, and standing up for what they thought was right. And the physical representation of that image can be equally striking. The flickering light of a candle in an ocean of darkness. It calls to mind an entry in Anne Frank's diary. Look at how a single candle can both defy and define the darkness. But I remember a striking example of the significance of a single candle. Many years ago, I paid a visit to the Memorial for Children in the Museum of the Holocaust in Jerusalem, Yad Vashem. It's hollowed out from an underground cavern and was designed as a tribute to the approximately 1.5 million Jewish children who were murdered during the Holocaust. The visitor moves in from the bright sunlight outside, through an antechamber whose walls are covered in constantly changing photographs of children of all ages slaughtered in these years, into what appears to be a world of flickering candles, a room of complete darkness, but illuminated by what seems to be an impression of tens of thousands of stars shining in the firmament. In fact, this memorial room is lit by a single candle. This candle is multiplied into infinity in all directions by a series of semi-reflectors and glass panels and mirrors which line the walls, the floor, the ceiling. Through the thousand-fold reflection of this one light, an enormous space is illuminated, and collectively they stand symbolically for all the children and young people who were to be the youngest victims of the Holocaust, probably one of the most shocking extermination acts of the Shoah. The spectators move in the sparse light. They feel their way along a hard railing. They hear the names of murdered children and adolescents with their age and place of birth, recited by a variety of voices through an endless tape recording. I gather this tape takes about 3 months to recite all the names that so far have been placed on record. The impact of a visit to this memorial is difficult to describe. It's infinitely moving. It's almost intolerably sad. It's a realization of one aspect of these murderous years, the fact that all these lives were stuffed out without the realization of their potential. It was not merely their lives, but the possibility for their children too were destroyed. But there's another lesson that we can pick up from such an exhibition. These myriad reflections depend upon a single flickering candle. And that thought can well be extended into our reflections on this day of remembrance. Single acts matter. An individual can make a difference. And it's important to make a difference, to perform even a single act of kindness in a world where everything seems to be going wrong. I could go through history to look for examples of individuals who have stood up against intolerance and injustice. But this is Holocaust Memorial Day, so let me concentrate on that. There have been countless tales of the rescue by individuals and groups during the Holocaust. Many of these rescuers have had their stories highlighted and their exploits marked by the award of the title of Righteous Gentile. But still, new stories come to light, and we continue to give praise for each fresh instance. And of all these stories, those which have the greatest impact must still remain those involving children, many of them too young to have an understanding of what was happening to them, knowing only that they have been removed from their accustomed surroundings and family, and that there is an atmosphere of fear around them. And often enough, these children had to be shielded for a considerable period of time, taught enough to be able to hide their origins. Or we have in mind such instances as the families who were hid for a year in the sewers of the city of Łódź, kept secure and fed only through the selfless care shown by one of the workmen who kept their existence unknown even from his own workmates. His actions, and those of many others like him, well merit the comparison with the impact of a light shone by a single candle in a world of darkness. To undertake such an action is in itself outstanding. But to undertake such a responsibility over a number of years, to keep a child safe in hiding without daring to share such knowledge with any other person, even to protect a child under a false name and false papers, but out in the open, is to go beyond any normal limit. And yet there were many all over Europe who were prepared in the worst of times to do the best of things. So just as we remember the tragedies represented in that memorial to the murdered children in Jerusalem, we must also remember the hope represented by those so worthily listed amongst the righteous amongst the Gentiles. Those persons in truth represent the candles of hope in a dark world. They did not set out to be heroes, and they did not feel they're doing anything at all special. They felt they had a moral imperative to follow their chosen path of action. And they have a lesson for us today. There are still today many instances of injustice and persecution. We may not be faced individually with the same physical dangers as they were faced with during the dark years of the Holocaust. But there are occasions when we are faced with examples of injustice and oppression. We can all stand in solidarity. We, all of us, each of us, must choose to be the light in the darkness in a variety of ways and places, at home, in public, and online. Just as they did what they felt was incumbent upon them, so we must hope that we too will be prepared to light up the contemporary world. Thank you.